Hi everybody. So today for our watercolor painting, we are going to need a few materials. First off, you need your watercolor palette. Second, a variety of brushes. A large flat brush and a medium round brush and a small brush will definitely help you in the process. Your watercolor paper, you need 9x6. That's one of the large papers cut in half work. We also are going to need tape. Painter's tape or masking tape work perfectly. Water, remember we want to use 2 cups, one for our dirty water and one for our clean water. And then last but not least, you'll need a piece of cardboard or a table where you can tape your painting down and no one will disturb it. Hey, it's time to set up our watercolor paper. So, a couple things about watercolor paper. Watercolor paper wants a backing that's nice and sturdy and strong. That can be your table, or it can be a piece of cardboard or any other piece of wood or something like that. So with this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take I'm going to tape the paper to a surface. And to do that, I don't want to use just regular tape. I'm going to use painter's tape that I've stuck to my clothing. The reason for doing that is then it's not super duper sticky. You can use painter's tape or you can use masking tape. Okay, so I've got my paper, I've got my tape on my leg. Now I'm taking my tape and I want to have a little bit of lint on there so it doesn't stick too much, because if it sticks too much, it's going to rip my paper after I'm done with my painting. And for our landscape painting that we're doing today, we want to have just a little bit of a border with the tape. And we're taping it down because watercolor paper likes to curl. So this is giving it a sturdiness, a rigidity, so it can't curl. So I've taken my tape and I'm taping it off so that I've got the area where my painting will be and the part of my paper where I can practice my palette and I can come up with the color scheme that I want to use. Okay, so again, for the tape, it can be painter's tape or it can be masking tape, whatever kind of tape that you have around, but just make sure it's not super duper sticky. Scotch tape tends to be a lot stickier, so really make sure you're using a fuzzy sweater or something to put some lint on there. So for my painting, I'm going to be using the third yellow in, like the darker yellow. So I'm going to prep that. I'm going to pick 3 warm colors and 3 cool colors for this, okay? My sunset will be warm and my mountains will be cool. So that third yellow, this last orange, because it's kind of a deeper, more red orange. You're welcome to use the pinks and the other yellows and oranges if you want to, okay? You don't have to stick to my same color palette. And then my third warm color is going to be this red color, okay? So I'm adding water to those to prep them, to make them nice and wet. And then my 3 cool colors are going to be my light blue, my dark blue, and I'm going to cheat a little. I'm going to have 4 because I think I want to maybe add some violets in later, and this turquoise color. Okay, so again, if you want to copy along exactly with me, my colors are this darker yellow, the darker orange, red, and next to the violet, red violet, the 2 blues, light blue, dark blue. I'm sorry. Yeah, and yeah, that's right. And this green color, kind of turquoisey green. Okay, you guys can choose. If you want your sunset to be more pink and purples, you can totally go with that. It's not going to hurt anything. You could go yellow, pinks, and purples if you wanted to. Or yellow, orange, and pink instead of red would look nice too. Sunsets change depending on what's in the atmosphere. So whatever colors you decide will totally work. So my next step is that I'm going to see how these colors look together. I want to see how they go together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my palette now, and on this little left hand side of my paper, I'm going to see how they look. So I'm going to take my yellow, load my brush, and I'm going to put all my warm colors kind of in the same area because that's going to be my sunset. And I'm going to add a little bit of water to it and bring it down so I know how it looks when it's really dark yellow and really light yellow. That didn't quite work like I wanted it to, but. And I'm going to do the same thing with my orange. Put a little splotch on there in my orange. Add a little bit of water to that to see what my light and dark values will be with that orange. And it's always good before you start a painting to think about your color scheme. Think about where you're going with your colors, what you want it to look like. Typically in a sunset or a like sunrise, you have really warm values in your sky, and then your cool values are the silhouette kind of mountains, okay? So for painting your sunset, the very first step is prepping your paper. And you would think, like, why can't I just put the paint right on the paper? You can, but if you really want it to look blendy and nice, one thing that works really well is called glazing your paper with water. So you take just clean water, and it's not a lot of water. I really just load my brush twice with water, and our sunset is only going to be 2/3 of the paper, not all the way down to the bottom. So I just am putting a light glaze of water on my paper, not sopping it. It's hard to see the reflection, but I'm not sopping it. I'm just really just dampening up my paper a little bit, okay? And you'll get to know your paper and where the water is and stuff. So now that I have my papers nice and wet, my paints are ready to go, I've chosen my colors. What I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to start with my dark yellow, and you can start with your lightest color that you've chosen, and at an angle, I'm going to paint kind of at a side angle. You can go left to right or right to left, but I'm not going straight across the top and the bottom. This gives more depth to your sky, okay? I know when we were younger, and notice I'm leaving some white spaces. My brush is pretty wet with paint, and I'm just streaking it along. And I always recommend, that's nice, going tape to tape, like go across your page. This person wants to mess up my painting. I'm painting right now. All right. So next, after my yellow, I'm gonna go into my orange, okay, that I'm using, and my orange. I'm not gonna use a lot of it, but I'm gonna use some of it, and I'm gonna go into the areas where my white was, where I left a little bit of white of the paper, okay. And I'm just gonna lightly blend it into my yellow, okay? Your paint colors, as they dry, they do get more vibrant. So if you're starting really, really dark, you're gonna have a super intense sunset that might not look super realistic. So you do wanna have some water going on with those paints, okay? So by glazing the paper with water, it's helping these colors to kind of blend together and look a little more natural, okay? If you use too much water, sometimes it makes these big bubbly pockets of water, and you might have to dab with a paper towel to take off some of your water, okay? So if you're getting really brushy, like you've got some really strong lines, dip your paintbrush into the water and try to just spread your paint out. So the next color I'm going to add will be red. And with the red, I'm gonna use my red very sparingly. I'm just gonna kind of come in right under my orange in a few spots and leave, it's almost like it's gonna be like a little line of red. And I'm going tape to tape again, like one side all the way over to the other. One side, and I'm going at an angle. That's, like I was saying, it's in the end, it'll give it more depth. Right now, it feels weird to work at an angle, I know. Because when you were a kid and you painted, everything was like straight across for sky, right? It was totally straight. By angling this, though, it helps give depth. It'll help give a little bit of depth to your sky. And then the final step in your sunset is adding a touch of turquoise in here, and it's just like a little bit, or your blue, or like a little bit of one of the cool values. Okay, just a touch of it. Some high drama going on there. So you can come back in and add some colors too to help add some vibrancy to your painting. So but I wouldn't add a lot more water, if that makes any sense. If it's too watery, this is the delicate balance with watercolor, is that you can add too much water and make it look really muddy, is kind of the term. So you want to be careful with using too much water. Alrighty, so final step. I'm happy with this. It's a little bit wet still, so I'm going to set it aside. I'm going to put it in a safe place where somebody can't mess it up. So please make sure that you're not putting your painting in a place where an animal or a smaller human or your parents can do something with it, okay? So we need it to dry. We need it to dry for about 1 hour, because our next step is we're going to be adding mountains. And so you need to really have this done before class on Thursday. These mountains, if we paint them on when we do when the sunset's still wet, they run together and it makes a crazy, crazy mess. So put your name on this, set it aside, have it ready for Thursday in class. We're gonna paint our mountains in, all right? Good luck. Let me know if you have any questions.